Welcome back, coin collectors and curious minds. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most common coins you might find in your pocket change, the 1972 Jefferson nickel. You might be wondering, could this simple coin be worth more than its face value? Let's find out together. First, let's get to know the basics of the 1972 Jefferson nickel. This coin features the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the obverse, or the front of the coin. The reverse side has an engraving of Monticello, Jefferson's estate in Virginia. The Jefferson nickel was introduced back in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The coin was designed by Felix Schlag, a German-American sculptor who won a national competition for his design. Jefferson nickels have been in continuous production since then, making them a staple in American coinage. Like most nickels, the 1972 Jefferson nickel is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs exactly 5 grams and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter. You'll notice the profile of Jefferson looking left on the obverse, and "In God We Trust" inscribed along the left edge. On the reverse side, Monticello is engraved, with the words E pluribus unum above it and 5 cents and United States of America below. The date 1972 is featured prominently, and next to it, you'll find the mint mark, either a D for Denver or no mint mark at all if it was produced in Philadelphia. There were no nickels minted in San Francisco for circulation in 1972, although there were proof coins minted for collectors. So, what's the value of a 1972 Jefferson nickel you find in your change today? If you have a regular, circulated coin, the value is typically close to face value, about 5 cents. Circulated coins are ones that have been used in everyday transactions, and they generally show some signs of wear like scratches or faded details. The first factor is the coin's condition, also known as its grade. Uncirculated coins, those that haven't been used in everyday transactions and still have a fresh, shiny look, can fetch a higher price. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service. Coins that are in excellent or mint condition, especially those that score a high grade, like or above, can be worth more to collectors. Error coins can also be more valuable. These are coins that were misstruck during production, creating unique features that are rare and prized by collectors. Some of the common types of errors for nickels include off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on defective planchets. If you happen to find a 1972 S-proof Jefferson nickel, this could also be worth more than face value. These proof coins were produced in San Francisco for collectors and have a mirror-like finish with more detailed features. These can be worth several dollars, depending on their condition. Carefully inspect the date and inscriptions on the coin. For doubling, this is when the text appears twice, as if it were shadowed. Double dies can be subtle, but they're valuable because they're relatively rare. Look at the surface of the coin. If it's in exceptional condition, with no scratches or nicks, it could potentially be worth more. A shiny, uncirculated coin from 1972 is rare to find in circulation. In summary, while most 1972 Jefferson nickels are worth just their face value, a few rare ones can fetch a nice premium. Remember to keep an eye out for high-grade coins, mint errors, and proof versions. Who knows, you might just have a hidden Felix Schlag, who won a national competition to honor. Schlag's design features a portrait of Jefferson on the front, or obverse side, and a depiction of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, on the reverse. On the obverse side, you'll see a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. Around the edges, you'll find the words "In God We Trust" on the left and "Liberty," along with the year 1972, on the right. Depending on the mint, you may see a small D just to the right of the date if it was minted in Denver. Turning over to the reverse side, you'll notice the image of Monticello, Jefferson's iconic home. Above Monticello is the phrase E pluribus unum, and below are the inscriptions Monticello 5 cents and United States of America. The 1972 Jefferson nickel is made from a durable 75% copper and 25% nickel composition. Unlike silver or gold coins, this composition doesn't tarnish as quickly, but over time, it develops the unique patina we often see in circulated nickels. The coin will show heavy wear with major details still visible, though they may be faint. The details are clearer, but wear is noticeable on the high points of Jefferson's face and Monticello. Light wear is present, but finer details, like Jefferson's hair and Monticello's windows. So what's the value of a 1972 Jefferson nickel? In circulated condition, these coins are generally not worth a significant premium. For coins graded between good and very fine, the value is usually around 5 to 10 cents, just above face value. For many collectors, the 1972 Jefferson nickel is an accessible and affordable coin to collect. Its historical significance, durability, and design make it a popular choice for beginners and seasoned numismatists alike. If you're collecting, try to find a piece in higher grades or seek out error coins for added value. Some collectors enjoy gathering a full series of Jefferson nickels by date and mint mark, while others focus on specific years that hold personal or historical. That wraps up our look at the 1972 Jefferson nickel in circulated condition. Whether you're a coin collector or just stumbled across one in your pocket change, the Jefferson nickel has a lot of history and character packed into a small 5-cent piece. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, replaced the Buffalo nickel design. The U.S. Mint chose Thomas Jefferson to be featured on this new 5-cent piece as a tribute to one of America's founding fathers and the third president of the United States. Designed by artist Felix Schlag, the coin's obverse or front displays a left-facing portrait of Jefferson, while the reverse shows his famous estate, Monticello. Jefferson's portrait and Monticello have appeared on the nickel ever since, with only a few design changes over the decades. By the time 1972 rolled around, the Jefferson nickel had already been in production for 34 years and had become an everyday part of American life. But what makes the 1972 nickel especially interesting in the early 1970s were a transformative time for the U.S. economy and its coinage. Rising inflation, the end of the gold standard, and changes in metal prices all impacted the design and materials used in American coins. However, unlike other coins that saw changes to their composition, the nickel's copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, remained unchanged. So the 1972 Jefferson nickel was struck with this familiar composition. During this period, the mint also had high production demands. Millions of nickels were produced to keep up with circulation needs. In 1972, the mint produced Jefferson nickels at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, so you'll often find the 1972 nickel with either a D mint mark for Denver or no mint mark, indicating. As mentioned, the coin features Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse. Felix Schlag's design was chosen in a competition and has become iconic over time. On the reverse side, you'll see Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, along with the words E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, as well as the denomination and the United States name. The 1972 nickel has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, a thickness of 1.95 millimeters, and weighs about 5 grams. Its copper-nickel composition has a distinctive silvery color that's easy to recognize. While it may seem unremarkable, each little detail, from the font used to Jefferson's expression, contributes to its status as a classic American coin. Alright, now let's talk about rarity and value. The 1972 Jefferson nickel isn't considered rare, as millions were produced. But condition makes a big difference when it comes to collecting. For instance, a heavily circulated 1972 nickel is generally worth only its face value, 5 cents. But in uncirculated or mint state conditions, it can be worth more to collectors, especially if it has sharp, detailed features and no scratches or dings. Mint-state nickels from 1972 can fetch anywhere from a couple of dollars to, in exceptional cases. Full steps refers to the steps on Monticello if they are sharply struck and fully visible. That nickel is more desirable to collectors because it's rare to find such detail in circulation-struck coins. Some interesting varieties and errors can add value to a 1972 Jefferson nickel. Look out for doubled die errors, particularly on the reverse, where Monticello or the lettering appears doubled due to a die issue during minting. These doubled die varieties can increase the value significantly for collectors, depending on the visibility of the error. So, is the 1972 Jefferson nickel a hidden treasure? For many, it's a simple, nostalgic coin representing everyday American currency. For collectors, however, it holds appeal as part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series. If you're interested in adding a 1972 nickel to your collection, look for high-grade examples or search for error varieties to make your collection stand out. Whether you're collecting for fun or aiming to assemble a full set of Jefferson nickels, the 1972 edition is a great piece of history that you can easily find in circulation or at a low cost from coin dealers. Take a look at your pocket change, who knows, you might just find a special one in there. 1987 Jefferson nickel. We're going to explore what makes this coin unique, what to look for if you're a collector, and the current value of this vintage coin in circulated condition. So grab your magnifying glass and let's get started. The 5-cent Jefferson nickel is one of the longest-running coin designs in the United States, introduced in 1938. Its design was created by Felix Schlag and it was chosen through a national design competition. On the obverse or head side, we see Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, while on the reverse or tail side, we have an image of Jefferson's famous home, Monticello. When it comes to collecting coins, condition is everything. A circulated coin is one that has been used in everyday transactions, meaning it's likely to have scratches, wear, or discoloration. Since the 1987 nickel is fairly common, most of these nickels you come across will be in circulated condition, especially if you find them in pocket change. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, where 1 is heavily worn and 70 is flawless. Most circulated 1987 Jefferson nickels will fall between grades 20 and 40, meaning they'll have moderate to noticeable wear. These grades impact the value, as better preserved coins are always worth more to collectors. Because of the high mintage, 1987 nickels are generally easy to find, even today. However, certain varieties and errors can increase their value, which we'll talk about next. Errors and varieties are a big deal in the coin collecting world. While the 1987 Jefferson nickel doesn't have any major known varieties, there are always minor errors that can crop up. Some collectors look for. These are small raised lines that result from cracks in the die used to strike the coin. They're often not highly valuable but can add a few cents or dollars to the coin's value if they're prominent. If the coin wasn't perfectly centered during the minting process, it will appear lopsided. Depending on how far off center it is, these errors can fetch a premium. In rare cases, you might find a double die error, where parts of the design, like Jefferson's profile or Monticello, appear doubled. These are quite rare and can be valuable. Now, let's talk about the market value of a 1987 Jefferson nickel in circulated condition. Generally, because of the high mintage and the coin's common status, these nickels aren't highly valuable. In circulated condition, a prominent off-center strike or clear die crack might push the value higher, sometimes up to a few dollars. Even though the 1987 Jefferson nickel may not be highly valuable, collecting these coins can still be a fun and affordable hobby. Jefferson nickels are relatively easy to find, and they offer a Jefferson nickels from 1938 to the present, which can be a rewarding challenge. If you're interested in collecting Jefferson nickels, keep an eye out for the key dates, like the wartime silver nickels from 1942 to 1945, which have a higher silver content and tend to be more valuable. So, is the 1987 Jefferson nickel worth keeping? Well, it depends. If you're a casual collector or enjoy the idea of building a collection on a budget, then yes, it's worth holding on to. You might not strike it rich with a 1987 nickel, but you're preserving a small piece of American history. Plus, who knows, you might even find an interesting error or variety along the way. First, let's talk about where this coin gets its name. The Jefferson nickel was introduced in 1938 as a tribute to Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States. It replaced the Buffalo nickel, and the design was crafted by artist Felix Schlag. His design features Jefferson's Virginia estate on the reverse or back. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation for over 80 years with only minor modifications, making it one of the longest-running U.S. coin designs. This makes the 1987 Jefferson nickel a part of a larger, enduring history. Now, let's take a closer look at the design details of the 1987 Jefferson nickel. On the obverse, we see the iconic profile of Jefferson facing left. Surrounding him are the words "In God We Trust" on the left, and "Liberty," along with the year 1987 on the right. If you look closely, you might notice minor wear on these inscriptions due to circulation. The reverse side displays Monticello, Jefferson's historic home, with the words "E pluribus unum" above it, which translates to "out of many, one beneath Monticello." You'll find the inscriptions "United States of America" and 5 cents in circulated condition, where is often visible on Monticello's details, especially on the columns and the dome. Mint marks are a great way to differentiate these coins, and they can sometimes impact a coin's collectability and value. In circulated condition, however, there's generally no significant difference in value between the two mint marks for 1987. Now for the big question, how much is your 1987 Jefferson nickel worth? In circulated condition, the majority of these nickels hold their face value of 5 cents. These coins were produced in high numbers, with over 1 billion made in both Philadelphia and Denver that year. This high mintage means that finding rare varieties or valuable errors is uncommon. However, if you find a 1987 Jefferson nickel in mint state or uncirculated condition, it could be worth a bit more, anywhere from 25 cents to a couple of dollars, depending on its quality. Coins graded at MS-65 or higher by professional grading services could fetch slightly more from collectors looking to complete a Jefferson nickel set. While the typical 1987 Jefferson nickel might not be worth more than a few cents, certain error coins could make yours special. Some of the errors that collectors look for include off-center strikes, die cracks, and any doubling in the lettering. These can be harder to find, but if you do stumble across one, it could raise the value of your coin significantly. Sometimes up to $20 or even more depending on the rarity and demand. So, is your 1987 Jefferson nickel worth more than 5 cents? In most cases, probably not, but every coin has a story. Remember, coin collecting is as much about the thrill of the hunt as it is about value. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple in American currency since 1938. The design was originally created to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and the primary author of the Declaration of Independence. The 1938 design replaced the Buffalo nickel, and it has remained largely unchanged, with a few modifications here and there, ever since. The designer of this coin, Felix Schlag, won a national competition to create the design. On the obverse or front side, we see a left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson. On the reverse side or back is Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia home. This nickel design has been so enduring that it's one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. So, what's the big deal with the 1987 Jefferson nickel? At first glance, it might seem like any other nickel in circulation, but the 1987 issue of this coin has some unique characteristics and historical context that make it a fascinating piece for collectors and history buffs alike. The 1987 Jefferson nickel was minted in two places, Philadelphia and Denver. The coins minted in Philadelphia bear no mint mark, while those produced in Denver have a small D on the right side of Monticello on the reverse. No nickels were produced at the San Francisco Mint that year, which often produces proofs. So, if you find a 1987 nickel with an S mint mark, it's extremely rare if it exists at all. In 1987, the U.S. Mint produced over 900 million Jefferson nickels, about 655 million from Philadelphia, and around 378 million from Denver. With such high production numbers, these coins were intended to be used and circulated widely. This level of circulation means that many of the 1987 nickels you find today will be well worn. They're not exactly rare, but finding a high-quality 1987 nickel in circulation can be a challenge, especially one in excellent condition. Even though the 1987 nickel might seem simple, there are subtle details in its design. The obverse shows Jefferson's portrait, while those produced in Denver have a small D on the right side of Monticello on the reverse. No nickels were produced at the San Francisco Mint that year, which often produces proofs. So if you find a 1987 nickel with an S mint mark, it's extremely rare if it exists at all. In 1987, the U.S. Mint produced over 900 million Jefferson nickels, about 655 million from Philadelphia, and around 378 million from Denver. With such high production numbers, these coins were intended to be used and circulated widely. This level of circulation means that many of the 1987 nickels you find today will be well worn. They're not exactly rare, but finding a high-quality 1987 nickel in circulation can be a challenge, especially one in excellent condition. Even though the 1987 nickel might seem simple, there are subtle details in its design. The obverse shows Jefferson's portrait, while the reverse depicts Monticello with delicate details that can wear down over time. When searching for high-quality nickels from 1987, pay attention to the steps on Monticello. Nickels with fully visible steps, known as full steps nickels, are rarer and more valuable. Full steps refer to the clear, uninterrupted lines on the front of Monticello. Coins that have 5 or 6 full steps are considered more valuable to collectors because these details are often the first to wear off. This characteristic can make a difference of several dollars in the coin's value, even though it's technically still just a nickel. Net, you may be wondering, is a 1987 Jefferson nickel worth anything beyond its face value? Well, in most cases, circulated 1987 nickels are only worth their face value of 5 cents. However, if you happen to have a coin in mint or near mint condition, particularly one with those elusive full steps, the value can increase to a few dollars, or more if it's graded and preserved in perfect condition. Uncirculated 1987 nickels, especially those graded by professional services, can sell for around $5 to $20. Full steps varieties, which are harder to come by, can sell for even more. However, because of the high mintage numbers, the 1987 Jefferson nickel isn't considered a key date for collectors, so it's more of an affordable option for beginners looking to build a collection. Before we wrap up, let's go over some fun facts about the Jefferson nickel itself. Did you know that during World War II, the Jefferson nickel was briefly made from a different metal composition? To save nickel for the war effort, the U.S. Mint switched to a combination of silver, copper, and manganese between 1942 and 1945. These war nickels are a fun find for collectors. Another interesting fact is that the nickel, despite being called a nickel, is actually made up mostly of copper, about 75% copper and only 25% nickel. The Jefferson nickel has also had a bit of a facelift over the years. In 2006, the U.S. Mint introduced a new forward-facing portrait of Jefferson, though Monticello remained on the reverse. But the 1987 nickel maintains the classic look that had been in place for nearly 5 decades. The 2002 Jefferson nickel will explore its history, unique design features, and, most importantly, its circulating value. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, you won't want to miss this. First, let's take a step back in time. The Jefferson nickel was first minted in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It was designed by renowned sculptor Felix Schlag, honoring Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States. The obverse features a profile of Jefferson, while the reverse showcases his home, Monticello. The 2002 Jefferson nickel continues this rich legacy, but it also comes with its unique twists that make it special. By the early 2000s, the U.S. Mint had been considering redesigns to commemorate the bicentennial of the Louisiana Purchase. This was a significant event in U.S. history that occurred in 1803, leading to the expansion of the United States. Now, let's talk about the design elements of the 2002 Jefferson nickel. The obverse remains consistent with the traditional design, showcasing Jefferson's portrait. However, what really sets the 2002 nickel apart is its reverse. In Significa 2002, the U.S. Mint released the first of the Westward Journey series. The reverse of the 2002 nickel features a depiction of the Lewis and Clark expedition. The design shows a representation of the journey that Jefferson initiated. It's a beautiful homage to exploration and the spirit of adventure. Interestingly, this design was met with mixed reactions from the public. Some collectors loved the new direction, while others preferred the classic look. Regardless, the 2002 nickel holds a special place in the hearts of many. Now, let's get into the part you've all been waiting for: the circulating value of the 2002 Jefferson nickel. As of today, the 2002 nickel is still a common coin found in circulation, and you can easily find one in your pocket change. The face value of the nickel is, of course, 5 cents. However, when it comes to collecting, the value can vary based on condition and rarity. A well-circulated 2002 nickel typically doesn't fetch much more than its face value, around 5 to 10 cents. However, if you happen to stumble upon a 2002 nickel in mint condition or with a unique error, its value could increase ently. For instance, certain uncirculated versions can sell for around $1 to $5, while rare errors could reach even higher prices. So, there you have it. The 2002 Jefferson nickel is not just a piece of change, it's a reminder of history, exploration, and the evolution of U.S. coinage. If you find one, take a moment to appreciate its story. The Jefferson nickel was first minted in 1938 to honor the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. Designed by Felix Schlag, it replaced the Buffalo nickel and has undergone several design changes over the decades. The 2002 version features the familiar left-facing portrait of Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his famous home in Virginia, on the reverse. Now, let's take a closer look at the 2002 Jefferson nickel. The obverse displays Jefferson's profile, complete with his iconic hairstyle and a date of 2002. Surrounding the portrait are the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." The reverse showcases a detailed image of Monticello, accompanied by the words Monticello and E pluribus unum, along with the denomination of 5 cents. Now, let's talk about circulated condition. Coins in circulated condition are those that have been used in everyday transactions, meaning they have. For the 2002 Jefferson nickel in circulated condition, you can expect to see some loss of detail, especially in the hair and the building on the reverse. But don't worry, these coins are still sought after by collectors for their historical significance and their representation of American currency in the early 21st century. So, how much is a 2002 Jefferson nickel worth in circulated condition? The value can vary based on the coin's condition, but generally these coins are worth their face value, 5 cents. However, some collectors may be willing to pay a bit more, especially if the coin is in particularly good circulated condition or has unique characteristics. If you're looking to sell or trade your 2002 Jefferson nickels, consider checking platforms like eBay or local coin shops. Always do your research on current market trends and prices to get the best deal. Here are a few fun facts to wrap things up. Did you know that the Jefferson nickel was the first U.S. coin to feature a president's portrait in a left-facing profile? Also, since its inception, over 1 billion Jefferson nickels have been minted, making it one of the most popular coins in American history. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American currency since 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, it was created to honor Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers and the third president of the United States. The nickel features a profile of Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his Virginia estate. On the reverse. Fast forward to 2002. This year marked a significant point in the history of the Jefferson nickel, especially since it was part of a series of nickels that celebrated the westward journey of the United States in 2002. The nickel retained its classic design on the obverse, featuring Jefferson's profile. However, the reverse saw a unique twist. The 2002 nickel was part of a redesign series, and it featured a depiction of the American bison alongside the words 5 cents. This new design was meant to symbolize the journey of the United States westward and highlight the importance of the bison in American history. This design not only reflected a tribute to the bison, but also served as a reminder of the American frontier and the values of exploration and adventure. 2023 Jefferson nickel. Is it just pocket change, or is there something more to know? To understand the 2023 Jefferson nickel, we have to start with a bit of history. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The design was created by Felix Schlag after winning a national competition, and since then, it has become a staple in American currency. Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, has graced the front of this coin for over 80 years now. The original design featured a left-facing bust of Jefferson on the front and his Virginia estate, Monticello, on the back. Over time, the design has seen some updates. For example, in 2006, the U.S. Mint introduced a forward-facing image of Jefferson, giving the coin a modern touch. This newer version is what we still see today, and it's the design used in the 2023 Jefferson nickel. What makes the 2023 version special? The design elements and materials haven't changed much in recent years. You still have the front-facing portrait of Jefferson on the obverse or front side of the coin. And on the reverse, Monticello, his iconic estate, is as prominent as ever. Now, let's talk about the physical value of the Jefferson nickel, specifically the 2023 issue. Each nickel is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, and has been since 1946. During World War II, some nickels had silver in them, but those are long gone in modern circulation. While the actual metal content in each nickel is worth less than 5 cents due to the small amounts, the coin is still highly valuable as a collector's item in some cases, depending on its condition and any unique markings. But generally, 2023 nickels in average circulated condition are worth their face value, 5 cents. Collectors might look for mint condition or uncirculated versions of the 2023 Jefferson nickel, which could fetch a bit more, though generally only up to 10 to 15 cents. Every year, millions of Jefferson nickels are minted, ensuring they remain common in circulation. The U.S. Mint produces these at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with no particularly low mintage numbers this year. So while it's fun to find a 2023 nickel in your pocket, it's not necessarily rare. At the bottom, you'll find United States of America and the coin's denomination, 5 cents. These are important features that have become symbols of the Jefferson nickel. What about collecting the 2023 Jefferson nickel, particularly in circulated condition? While these nickels are common and not particularly rare in circulated condition, they are still a fun and inexpensive addition to any collection. The U.S. Mint produced millions of these coins, but you might find slight variations, such as slight die rotations or minor minting errors, which could add value. For new collectors, Jefferson nickels are an affordable way to start a collection. They're widely available and provide an excellent introduction to coin collecting, especially if you're interested in U.S. currency. When it comes to circulated condition, value is typically close to the face value, 5 cents. However, condition matters. Circulated coins can show wear and tear from daily use, so they usually have less collectible value than uncirculated or higher-grade coins. But if you find one in particularly good condition, it's worth setting aside. Pay special attention to the detail in Jefferson's hair and the architecture on Monticello. These areas often show wear first. A coin in very fine to extra fine condition might be a bit more interesting to collectors, though it's rare for circulated coins to fetch a premium, unless there's an error or unique feature. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the 2023 Jefferson nickel. Whether you're a serious coin collector or just getting started, these nickels are a fun way to explore history and the art of coin design. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Have you found a 2023 Jefferson nickel in your change? Tell us in the comments below, and happy collecting!